Okay, hello and good day to everyone that is currently tuning in here at Phoenix Holdings. Once again, this is your host CH, and we're going to be having another exciting, a little bit extra special AMA. Now that we're seeing the beautiful faces of the people behind Fleetwood Games, it's nice to see you guys. I was surprised to turn on your video. I was not prepared for that.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, I think it's always better to, especially when you're pitching a project and talking about passion or a person or something you hold dear. I mean, if I didn't show my face, I mean, it's not great, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's always better to see. I mean, especially in this space that we work with, where there's a lot of trust that needs to be involved amongst investors, because lots of rugs, scams, seeing the people behind the project itself. It has a huge impact in terms of trust between people and potential investors. So it's amazing that you have your videos on, and I'm personally excited about this project. I mean, I checked the website and I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. If that's going to be how the entire project and the game is going to be looking like. So, okay, I guess to officially. Oh, sorry. You're going to say something?
No,
okay,
I'm just I have to switch battery, but keep going.
Okay, I mean, to officially get started, so I guess we can start off by introducing yourselves to us and, give a bit of history and background about your crypto ventures and stuff.
Fantastic. Okay, so 2 seconds. Sorry.
All good.
That's why I don't use headphones.
Yeah, I mean,
brilliant.
Call me old school, but I'm using wired earphones for the same reason that I don't need to recharge the,
Yeah, I know what you mean, and to be honest, I've always preferred wired headphones for my PC, but it wasn't until these headphones that really sold me, because they have like a battery I just took out and I put it inside the decks again. So then when it runs out, I just swap batteries and I don't ever have to plug it in. It's quite nifty. Quite nifty.
Oh yeah, that's convenient. So yeah, you can just switch batteries like an actual batteries. You don't need to always recharge it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They're these little things, and they just go on the side of the headset.
Oh, that's really convenient. I just noticed though, I'm not sure if it's just me, or is the mic quality of wireless headphones less better than wired ones, or is it just the same?
I think with technology now, it's pretty much the same, but the microphone quality on all gaming headphones, wired or wireless, is terrible, which is why I'm using this bad boy here.
That's true. Your audio is quite clear, though.
Sorry?
Yours is quite clear. I think you're using a condenser mic. Fine.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay, I guess I'm stalling quite a bit more. So yeah, I think it's right about time for you to introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, fantastic. And sorry, I tend to waffle on a bit. Okay, so firstly, I'm really happy to hear that you like what you're seeing on the website, because I was going to do this for later on the presentation, but quick itinerary. The website is lacking a lot in design, but like you said, there is a lot of content there, but it's actually been getting redesigned, and redesign is done, and that new website will be up in the coming weeks, and we'll have a mobile version for that as well, so people who don't have a desktop and want to read about the project. Okay, so about me, I guess. This is the part I always get stuck on a bit, because I'm find it a lot easier to talk about things I'm passionate with, more so than talking about myself. But on a personal note, I'm 27 and I'm born in the 90s, 27 now, pushing into 28. I'm married. I have a son. My wife blessed me with a lovely child, and I live in England. Like smack bang on the middle of the country, actually. So it's really nice and quiet here. Rainy, terrible weather, but that's the UK. What can you do? So I'm an avid gamer as well. Although now I don't really have the time to play games anymore. I mean, surprise, surprise. But so about me, about my background and experience, I guess I'll start with the background. So the last couple of years for me have been very busy and condensed. So I graduated from university with a first degree in games development / programming in the from the University of Huddersfield. And in the last year, really, is when my fascination with complex ecosystems and really just pushing my mental capabilities forward really came in. It was just like my main focus and the most thrill I was getting was locked when I was solving complex problems and just learning for the sake of understanding things. And to be honest, a lot of that was due because between my second year and my final year, I had a gap year, or what we call here in the UK sandwich course. I spent a year working as a software developer in Silicon Valley of California, out of all places, which whilst served me with many life lessons, some obvious, some precious, and some really just proved how naive you are at a young age. There was, however, a few observations that really stuck with me and helped me a lot due to my own lack of knowledge, really, and actually seeing the gap between me and some of these more senior people who've been in the industry for a long time. And at the same time, it really kind of shattered my expectations and illusions of the professional world, and really made me realize, if you truly want to be those who are truly good at what they do and still actually enjoy it after many years of doing it, they don't really focus on title or on credit or competing for recognition. You just try forward towards goals that are really outside of your current understanding and capabilities. Having talent and smart is all great, but just those attributes alone, just like any attributes, are never enough on their own to form something bigger and so on. But the reason I mention this is because it was a bit of a change in my final year. I kind of really went hard in pushing my boundaries and just in pushing my boundaries and my understanding. And this is kind of a theme that was, that's been consistent throughout my careers, just setting goals and facing problems that were just far outside of my range of what I currently was capable of at the time. Every project a new challenge, and every challenge borderline lunacy in scope. But it is what it is. So for my just to finish it off, my experience quickly, I graduated in before I graduated from my dissertation, I decided to actually integrate a neural network into Unreal, which really pushed me because I could, you had the aspect of this of new technology at the time that was picking up wasn't as well known as it is now after the whole the neural network boom a couple of years ago. Developed that into Unreal and developed the game into it, which kind of allowed me to stretch my understanding of how we learn things and also psychology and also technological understanding and a lot of maths pushing. But anyway, graduated within the first 16 months, went from junior to normal to lead in a computer games company, worked on everything that a lot of genres that you can think of, like survival games, combat games, platformers, and in VR, even did a VR training thing for engineers, people who are trying to be engineers, just a more optimized and less risk-free, less risk environment. He did a bunch of crazy stuff like optimized PS4 games to run on Nintendo 64s. I mean, Jesus, that was that was a pain in the ass. Anyway, 12, 16 days easy. After that period, started my own company. I worked on everything from VR games from the Quest. I mean, I've been experimenting with VR since the early days, to event augmented reality apps for small use cases and enterprise for events, or what we call helper apps. For example, sorry, someone's spamming the chat. Helper apps, like for example, we did this one event for a fintech company where they get all their partners and all the people working for them together. They want to do something cool, and you have like an app that allows you to navigate with augmented reality around the room. You scan different bits and stuff comes out. And one of the more fun things, which is why I'm mentioning that we worked on, we actually got to play around with the Game of Thrones IP. So it was like a massive ass this cage, and you scan it with your phone, and a dragon comes bursting out in augmented reality, trying to bust out of its cage. But all in all, most of these, as well as companion apps, magazine toys, etc., and augmented in VR, at this point were more child's play. And then smaller projects like games and other apps for fintech, either companion apps or helper apps. Assisted with a bunch of other companies as well. Like, for example, did some back in those early days. So we're talking a couple of years ago. Now it's very common to have these VR social apps where you meet up, or you just meeting up in VR to either just chat, display a product, or create a social environment for some kind of a business or enterprise related, or just e-commerce stuff. and assisted on the business side, yada, yada, yada. And then most recently, when we skip a little bit ahead, I was a technical director for a digital twin company. And that's when things really took a turn on the complexity side. I mean, everything already was really, really crazy in some of these projects, but we're talking about taking AAA in terms of how much volume, taking like AAA games, pre-AAA game environments, and just making them run on a mobile phone without actually reducing how many things are there, which is a very hard task to do because you have to completely reform or think of a new way to define rendering in a sense, really. But anyhow, and a bunch of other crazy stuff, more advanced like AR stuff, where we had to scan really big, huge, I'm talking about really large objects, machineries and so on and so forth, within centimeter accuracy, so you can repair them halfway across the globe without sending an engineer out, and a bunch of other stuff. But in a nutshell, just pushing my boundaries and enterprise, worked in everything with game tech, the enterprise, even worked on so much, integrating machineries into virtual worlds, big company data, visualizations, a lot of things really. And believe it or not, that is actually kind of the short version of my experience. And even though it's only been, that's only covers a couple of years, but like I said, it's been very condensed, very, very crazy journey. Yeah. So yeah, and then after all of that, I was working as technical director, and then the final piece of it all, before that actually allowed Fleetwood to come in, is actually when I met Villa, and then I guess segment into Villa. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually going to tell just a little bit because I'm not that interesting. I'm here. Supporting Angel as a friend and as the owner of Mr. Shields. We have partnered up. Actually, I met Angel 6 months ago. He approached Mr. Shields, my project, in a sense that he wanted to become our customer, but very, very quickly it resulted in a informing friendship. So here we are 6 months later. This has been going for so long. It's super hard to condense all of this into any AMA. As the owner of the other group said, they need to give us like six spots for the full AMA. So, but yeah, basically I'm Ville. I as I said, I own Mr. Shields. This is not my first rodeo here in Phoenix Holdings. I actually was here in maybe October. When I was presenting my own project, and we are still alive and kicking, of course, as I promised then. I am never going away in this space. I am handling the marketing side of Fleetwood. Why I'm doing it is basically I have accumulated a lot of contacts in this space, mainly due to my very friendly appearance. No, but just by being genuine. Just like this, I don't know if we were even supposed to have our cameras on, but we don't care because how is the best way to build trust is just to show your face, do everything with your own name, because this space is so full of low lives. We are just trying to be better than them. So, but yeah, about the marketing side, that's basically the only thing I can talk about because obviously, as you heard, Angel knows a lot of the technical side. I know more of the marketing side. Of course, I can't reveal everything, but I can say that it has been a huge learning curve from all the other very successful crypto gaming projects. And we have kind of mashed all of that into one, hopefully very, very highly successful marketing plan. And what can I say? This was, for a long time, this was a very secretive project just between me, Angel, and my founding members club. And we actually had a code name. This was codename Axie Killer. So maybe that means something to somebody, but yeah. Enough about me. Let's go into the fun stuff.
No, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, first of all, Ragnar, I'm sorry. I just kept on mentioning your name on your Telegram group, but I think the name was Alina. Sorry, I didn't get it. What was the name again?
Oh,
My name is Ville.
Again. Sorry, I was not able to get it.
Ville.
Oh, Ville. So Ville. I mean, you say you're uninteresting, but
it's a Finnish name, though.
Yeah, but you look. I mean, definitely, I could not find a way like more suiting by Ragnarok. You definitely look like someone who came out of the biking thing, and you look so cool, man. Like seriously.
Hey, thanks.
And,
very true.
Yeah, and Angel.
I'm still nice as a teddy bear, so, and I don't have an axe with me at this moment.
No.
Yeah,
With
you look like a
That's
gentle
the key.
giant.
With.
That's for sure. Yeah. There's something hiding there, definitely under your table or something. But yeah.
That's also why I'm handling the marketing, because all these, hey, who can I contact about marketing? They don't dare to fuck with me. So, and yes, I do tend to say fuck a lot. So, bear with me.
Yeah, no one's gonna mess with you, man. Yeah. As nice as you are, I think, even I'm not gonna mess with someone like you, just based on how the Viking kind of thing suits your look. And anyway, Angel, you have quite the firepower as an experience, by the way. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so just a couple of years at the age of 27, you mentioned like I don't know, like 50 years worth of experience for nowadays. So you've been grinding so hard, and you're
12 to 16 hours a day every day.
Oh my god, you work a lot, and that's how you grind. And
yeah. Oh no, sorry, go on, finish there.
Okay. So I just was wondering. So you've been really deep into the game development side of things. So what gave you the transition into entering the blockchain space or the crypto space?
Honestly, so I guess I'll give more of the personal answer than the educator or the thought out answer. It was generally whilst I was consistently, just like you said, just grinding to improve my knowledge, and most importantly, grinding to make the application of that knowledge more valuable. And I don't just mean in the I don't just mean in the monetary sense. But after a while, the thing with the game industry is that games take a lot of money to develop most of the time, and because there is such a big team, I know it's hard to believe, but the majority of companies, even as big as they are, the percentage of chaos you get in there and the percentage of just inequality between the difference of how much you're actually doing and producing for the company and how that company actually views you. And I'm not saying this is the same for all companies, because I've had there was a couple of companies that I've worked with in the past that I still speak to the CEOs and bosses just because of the impression that they made on me that was really good. But I transitioned into enterprise just simply because I could continue using the same technology and not only make games, but make something that had utilitarian purpose, right? So actually having solving real life problems, because like I said, solving problems, and especially when you have to build complex systems in order to create a solution for those problems, really, really gets me going. And enterprise just really allowed that more money, more control, and there's so much that you can do because you take Unreal and all these other game engines into industries that primarily been using offline rendering tools like CAD and all these different software that use nerds for the structure model integrity as opposed to polygons, but not that deep into it. What I'm trying to say is there was a huge market there, so that's why I joined into enterprise. But then as crypto came around, there was this vision in my head that I've always had about building a game that really creates a symbiosis between escapism and actual utility and earning. And crypto allows for that. The main thing that the main principle behind crypto, or one of the main principles behind it, why a lot of people got behind it, that I still feel like is very much forgotten with a lot of these projects, is the opportunity of equality. Sidestepping all these, not sidestepping the regulations, but sidestepping having to play by someone else's rules, setting a a set standard for everyone, regardless of if you're the manager of the bank or you just Joe who works, at your local shop. And combining games and crypto kind of really will allow me to bring this this vision forward, where I will be making a game and I'll also be making something that solves a real world problem all at the same time. And I think crypto is just the best platform to offer that at the moment, outside of like enterprise stuff.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, crypto is definitely the future in terms of gaming. Is what we are seeing now. I mean, people are still, denying it because of the NFTs, but they're just afraid of the change. Like what usually happens when there's a new trend, but it will just take its course, and one day that's what I'm seeing in the future. That's just for me. And anyway, getting to the project. Getting to the project itself that I'm really curious about. I'm sorry if I keep cutting you off. I just speak a bit faster than usual. Okay, so can you give us an introduction and maybe on what Fleetwood Games is all about, and maybe as an additional, why the name Fleetwood?
Okay. So I'll get to the name Fleetwood first, because I actually have a full pitch for breakdown for Fleetwood in the vision. But okay, so why Fleetwood, the name, honestly, there is no complex reasoning or rationale behind it. I was just enjoying some time off after work, and I was sitting on the couch with my wife watching some kind of movie. And before this, the name for the game in my head was Lightfold, because it combines both fiction and fantasy, but it's a bit of a stupid name, really. I don't even know if I have the right to Lightfold, because I heard it in the show. But anyhow, then I heard the name Fleetwood, and something clicked in my head. I was like, okay, it sounds really mad. It sounds like there's this D&D element to it, this fantasy element to it. It's a very used name. No one owns it, because this town's called Fleetwood. There's Fleetwood teams. It's not like any body or any family owns the IP over that name. So in a way, everyone's like heard of Fleetwood, and if you're in the UK or somewhere in Europe, because you have something called Fleetwood around you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There is no in-depth reason. All right, so now for the presentation, what was going to break it down was, first was going to do the about me, which we've already done. Then I wanted to talk about the problem with these crypto games, and I'm very loose when I'm calling them games with the term, and what our vision is to solve it. Then we're going to talk about what is Fleetwood. Then we're going to talk about the progress and the timeline, and the goal, and that kind of was really encompassed the goal of this AMA. Now, and that's the reason this AMA is structured in this format, because the main goal for this AMA isn't actually to convert people into our group or get potential buyers or shillers or whatever. I think the main goal is to present it well enough so everyone who is listening to this AMA, live or not, will be able to see and feel the vision that we have for Fleetwood and what we're trying to achieve as a team with Mr. Shields and Fleetwood. We genuinely believe in it and this vision, and hopefully if I do a good enough job of that, then the vision should be good enough to actually get all these other things, like getting people to join and grow the community as a whole. So to jump into it, let's talk about the problem with crypto games and kind of our vision to solve it. So the reason I say games, right, is because a lot of these games, or what we call games, a lot of these crypto games, or what we call games, pay-to-earn games, are really more like pay-to-earn applications out there. Like, I'm not saying every game, right? There is games out there who are good, but then if you look at predominantly a lot of the games that are out and a lot of the smaller caps coming out, it's not a game, right? Because you have to be, for it to be a game, there has to be some kind of a progression. It doesn't matter if it's a story or if it's a playable progression or if it's like achievements, whatever. There needs to be some kind of a progression. There needs to be something to tie you in, and most importantly, there must be layers to it. So you can actually so you can actually progress, get better at the game, and actually have some fun to it, and also stack more complex mechanism and systems on top of it. Right, so a lot of these play-to-earn games, these simplistic game layers cannot really support complex ecosystems. can they? Because if you don't have the layers in the game to peel away, then what are you left with? You're just left with chance and quantity in order to progress. And what I mean by that is like you get a chance to breed a specific NFT, or maybe it's in a box. You know, it could be breeding, could be in loot boxes, or it could be like you complete some kind of an achievement and then there's a draw. If you invest more time, there is no clear curve. There is no clear progression curve. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you won't get lucky. Maybe after 10,000 openings, maybe you get one super rare. Maybe you won't. The other alternative is to invest more money, which then will obviously increase your passive income, right? But how is that different than just staking? In a sense, I mean, I know how it can be different with technicalities and all these things, but what I'm saying is the progression is exactly the same. You chance it or you increase quantity. And tell me a successful game that does that. It doesn't just get, shut down straight away because it's a pay to win. And that's a very important thing. Like a lot of these pay to earn games, in my opinion, are more so pay to win, not pay to earn. I mean, they're both, I guess, but yeah. And like I said, the quality of the games and the ecosystems are lacking because of the reasons I specified, lack of progression, which is crucial. Something else, which I call discouraging inflation/utilization, which leads to a lack of equality of opportunity. Now, what I mean by that is, okay, let's just say we're playing Axie, and the Axie is booming really well. The prices have gone up. Okay, I'm a new player that now wants to enter. The pay to earn, aka the maximum that you can earn in the game has now increased alongside with the marketing, or just Axie has increased, whatever the reasoning is, be it media, be it fundamental, be it truth, doesn't matter. It's gone up, but now I want to start playing Axie. I have to invest 3,000K, just 3K just to get in. You don't right now, but I'm saying like when it was at its peak, let's just say April of last year and November. Well, then, how as a new player, right, I want to start doing this pay to earn, or let's just say I'm in a third world country living or just in a poorer country, like the Philippines or Thailand or any of these Asian countries, or it doesn't matter, East or West, basically countries with lower GPDs. How do you start playing and earning now? The simple answer is you don't. And that's the And in that case, doesn't that just contradict what crypto is supposed to be about? But anyway, the gamer view, which you mentioned, which you said, is that not a lot of gamers like NFTs. And whilst I don't agree with their view, because obviously I'm making a crypto game, I also completely understand why they have that view, right? Because first, it's too complicated for them to start. They have to learn a lot about crypto, about securities, how to shield themselves against scammers, and all this kind of stuff. There is no, Steam launcher. There is no Ubisoft launcher, whatever. There's a steep learning curve if you've never done it. Too expensive to start. We already covered that. But most importantly, if you are a player, you're not an NFT, you're not a crypto investor first and player second, or both, or maybe player first and crypto investor second. If you are just a player who is new to the crypto world, from their perspective, a lot of these crypto games don't have anything to offer to players. And, realistically, that is true because, sure, I can play this game and then I can earn, but then we get back to that thing where I have to invest more money to earn. And if the game lacks complexity, then I'm solely focusing on the earning aspect because there isn't much for me to gauge and improve on. And there is some exceptions to this. There's some good card trading games, but again, there is only a couple of genres that have been executed good and right now, and they're all being repeated, which is you're getting a lot of these puzzle solvers, you're getting a lot of these meeting areas or like social platforms, and you're getting a lot of collectibles with the trading cards and stuff. But you're not getting, but you're not really getting any game qualities. So we intend to actually solve every single one of these problems with Fleetwood, which then brings us quickly in, which segments us perfectly into what is Fleetwood. Now, this section is going to be the longest section out of everything I've talked about so far. So before I get into it, is there anything anyone would like to ask or add?
Well, normally right after you do the presentation is where we get the questions going in. But for now, I think you can just carry on until, we go to the community question phase of the AMA, if that works.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great. I always prefer to check first. Okay. because I tend to waffle sometimes, and I'm trying to keep the pace slow. But if I go too fast, or just go a bit mental, reel me in. Okay, so let's talk about. I was going to start with what makes us different, but actually, what does make us different? A lot of things. And I will explain these things now going through them, but first I'm just going to mention them, which is, one, we are grounded. We have a stable starting point, regardless of how much Fleetwood inflates or how much the value of these characters gets driven up by the players, and it will be driven by the players. We have a stable starting ground. Secondly, we have the option to invest time, not just money. Right, you can invest time and money, or you can just invest the starting price, because obviously you have to get some NFTs to start playing. But you have the grounded ones, like really cheap ones that will not inflate, aka stable NFTs, and then you can start progressing with time. There is, and you can just start progressing throughout the game. The game is balanced. We have a creation aspect to it. And also everything in the game will be running on their own token once it's fully out. So there is so many more things that get us, that makes us quite different. But if I go through all the topics, the AMA is going to become too long. So I'll cover the really important one. So before I start talking about what is Fleetwood and how Fleetwood works, timelines, and all of this stuff, the first important thing that we have to understand is the characters, the NFT characters. And one important note is that the characters in many ways will be the player or users, keys and tools that they will use to interact with the system on every level. The heroes in particular affect the majority of interactions that the players will have / investors with the game and the economy, and will directly impact what you can and cannot do and how much you can and cannot earn. So let's jump into the characters then. Okay, so there is, if some of you have been on the website, you'll see that when you click on the character, there's a lot of info. You click on the core, there's 4 tabs, and then on the second tab, there's 6 built-in tabs just explaining the core metrics of the character. So there is a lot. I will not go through all of them because they're all there on the website, and there's no point of talking about it. Sorry, there is a point, but there's more important that we stick to the main core things. And the things that will be, when talking about the character, like I said, tons of aspects to consider. However, the main 4 attributes or categories, whatever you want to call them, for the characters are core for the utility, value. They're core for the economical value, progression, and emotional value, as in how relatable they are and whatnot. And those are your rank evolution, your hero level, and the variance. So let's jump into rank and rank evolution. Okay, so the intrinsic value is it's crucial aspect for every
Angel,
NFT.
sorry to cut you off, Angel, but by any chance, can you share your? Is there a presentation you can share, or is it better if you just say it out loud? Because I think it would be more better if we can visualize something. But if it's not available, it's also okay.
Yeah, sorry, I did actually plan on doing a presentation, but I didn't have enough time to write it down in a presentable format. So I do have notes, but honestly, they're not going to help.
It's all good. It's all good. But if it's everything's on the website though, right? If they want to see the visual aspect of
yes.
the details that you're doing, okay, that works then. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, fantastic. So all the detail, everything will be, I'll mention those on the website when we're talking about the characters, and any things that aren't, I'll just say. Okay, so the intrinsic value, it's crucial to every NFT, especially game NFTs. However, the intrinsic values, while different project to project, is best described as a combination of the utility and emotional value, not either or, but both, or if both are available. Now, the utility value. Sorry, the Fleetwood utility value is most impacted by the first 2 attributes, which is your rank and rank evolution. The first 2 attributes, rank controls the minimum and maximum that character stats can ever be. The second thing is it also controls what you can and cannot interact with in the game. What mode, what maps you can play, what difficulties you can participate in. The second, as well as the rank, so the rank very much acts like a limiter on all of those. Difficult modes and characters. Okay, so the other thing is the rank evolution. Now, some characters will have the ability to progress between ranks. The evolution type defines how they progress and how much they can progress throughout the ranks. For example, the three evolution types we have now are non, metamorph, and fusion. Fusion allows you to merge two NFTs of the same type. They don't have to be the same variant together to create two rank 3 fusions. You can merge them together to create a rank 4 evolved character. Those two NFTs get burnt, you get a new NFT. The metamorph is the second way of evolving, and the metamorph is really is obviously going to have the most value because it requires the most time for you to put into it, because you have to level him up from all the way when he starts. He's all the way at the lowest rank, and by the time he reaches max level, which is actually 5 levels higher than the normal max level, normal progression level. And just remember the word progression level, just so we don't confuse it with hero level, which we'll talk about in a second. The maximum progression level for metamorphs is 15, and at 15 is when they get their final evolution. So, which segments us perfectly into. Oh, before that, like I said, there is a lot of metrics with the character, and the ranks will control the minimax on those, and you can see those different metrics on the website. It's quite in depth, so I'm not going to go about all of them. Next is the hero level. The hero level acts as a control valve in a way, if you would. It acts as a control valve between that min and that max for the hero, right? So the higher level, the higher your progression level gets, the higher your base stats are, your starting stats, right? Because the game is actually a closed loop game, but we'll get to that in a second. We need to understand the characters fully before we talk about mode. So hero levels related to character. Controls where between the min and max stats the value of the character sits as its starting base stats. To the economy, to the ecosystem, it impacts what you can and cannot play, what modes, and it also impacts who you get matchmaked with, because of course there is a balancing aspect to all of this, and I'll talk about that in a second. And finally, when excluding the final of the 4 I wanted to talk about was variance. Now, variants are actually quite simple to understand, but they're also quite complex. They're quite hard for people who are who are new to games or just normally used to the NFT stuff. The reason I say that is because a lot of the NFTs that we currently have are flat. Their distribution, their construction is flat. So what do I mean by that is, let's just say we take, there's a couple of racing games out there and a bunch of other crypto games. But if we take the racing game as an example, I actually forgot the name of this game, but it's probably best I don't advertise for them. But anyway, you get a bunch of horses, and then these horses have a bunch of attributes, both both visual and utilitarian attributes in this horse racing game, Fleetwood. And all of them are on the same level. Now, what do I mean by that? You have a 2% chance of it being this color. You have a 3% chance of having these hoofs. You have a 4% chance of it being this breed, or a 10% chance of it being this breed instead, so on and so forth. You have both visual and utilitarian attributes all on the same layer, all randomized. So in reality, they're all unique NFTs, but they're also not that unique. And most importantly, there is no base reference for them. There is no description of these characters. There is no character. There's just randomly generalized epochs in a way, even. But they don't describe one character. That the character's description is the amalgamation of these random properties. Now, we will have random properties and generation, obviously, in Unreal as well. In Fleetwood as well, because we have to create a tons of character. But it's very important that we separate those. Our character, our core metrics, and everything else that I described, that's what makes the character. And then the character itself can then have many variants, aka many NFTs, aka skins, aka alternative models, whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it. We're just calling it variants. And these variants, the easiest way to explain them is that each character, regardless of what rank he is, and regardless if he's a hero, builder, or harvester, and we'll talk about what those are in a second, have 3 ranks. You have common, rare, and epic. Pretty self-explanatory, right? Common is the most common, rare is the second, and epic is the greatest. Each one, of course, as you go up to them, the type of variant, there is less of this type, so there's less let's just say if we have character Bob has the most amount of common variants and the least amount of epic variants and rare in between. The percentage in all the description is up on the website, but the main thing is a lot of these variants will just be cosmetic attributes. The character's core and stats are all part of the character itself. The variants change him visually. They might just change his colors. They might completely rechange his equipment. They might it might be a skin by a variant inspired by some kind of a cultural event or real life event, or it might be something taking out from the character's lore. Because one other thing on the website, and I won't talk about this much, is I also believe that you need to have I want to build a really large lore for Fleetwood, because I believe for these characters to be fully relatable, whilst we have the technical down, we have the intrinsic value down, we have the visual down, we have the gameplay down, those characters also need to be relatable. They need to have some kind of a story, so you can really, get immersed into you can really immerse yourself in the world. Anyhow, but the variants, that's what they are. The higher you go up into the chain, the more the cooler variant skin is going to be, the more time is put into this variant skin, and obviously there is less of it. There is both generated and crafted ones. Generated means that's the ones that are just completely randomized equipment, and crafted ones are also ones that can have copies of each other, but there's still far less of them because of how much time is put into them. Or the crafted ones more than likely will actually just have smaller sets of things to choose from, because they'll all be within the same theme, so they're probably won't be identical, but we'll see. Actually, never mind. Just scratch that last bit. Everything else prior to it, correct? There was the classification of the variants. There was something else I wanted to talk about the variants, but I completely forgot. Oh yeah, as a metaphor, you can think of it this way. Okay, so your common variant is just you've taken your level 5 character and you've done a dungeon, you've done a level 5 dungeon, you've got some coolish looking equipment. Your epic variant, you've defeated one of the biggest raid boss and you get the coolest looking equipment with the coolest looking themes and stuff in the most detail on it. That's a good way to think about it. Right. So finally, I've mentioned stable NFTs. So during this public sale, when we do the publics, there will be no rank 1 characters being sold. The reason for that is because rank 1 characters with common variants will be stable NFTs that will have a set price that will not move. And the reason for that is because of that thing that I was saying that we need to have a way for everyone to have this similar opportunities, right? So obviously, if you have more cash revenue, you don't have to get the starting. If you have more liquidity, you don't have to get the starting characters. You can just jump into the higher rank characters and just get some of those, which could be very beneficial if you're an investor, not so much if you want to play the game, because you still have to learn the character. But that's for the balancing. We'll talk about that in a second. But yes, stable NFTs, they're always the same price. You have a stable starting point where new players can come in and start grinding. So we've got that. And those ones will not be part of the public sale, because those are the only type of NFTs, once the game is out, that you'll be able to buy directly from Fleetwood. All of the other characters, so rank 1 rare variants to epic, and rank 2 any variants up to rank 4, basically everything above is only attainable in 2 ways once the game is out. You can either buy it from a player who's done all the missions, done the grinding, or if it's a special event skin, he's been there, he's won competitions or whatever. You can buy him off him in the auction house, or you can grind yourself and get it. Those are the only 2 ways. And that's very important, because I want the players to set the price, and I want the players to control whilst obviously a rare variant will always be more expensive than an epic variant, just because it'll take more time for people to unlock it. It also means that there will be some characters that some people really feel attached to them, or a community really gets to like them, even though they're not the best character. You can still set the price to whatever. It's going to be completely community driven. So that's one of the main reasons people should participate in the public sale, to be honest. But right.
Let me jump in just a little bit. Angel, maybe we should talk about what kind of game Fleetwood is.
Yes, we're moving that into now. Cool. Okay, so that was character and attainability. So now that you know all about the characters, now you can understand the game. And you'll see what I mean by that, because it'll be very hard to understand a game if you didn't prior. So there'll be a couple of official game modes, and how do these game modes play? So let's focus on the PvE. PvE stands for player versus environment. If you're not a gamer, that basically what that definition means is you're playing again. You can be playing against anything, any condition, as long as you're not playing against the player directly. Yeah, that's all there is to it. So player versus environment, the PvE game mode will be the tower defense. I don't even want to call it a tower defense mode before I even get into that. The Fleetwood is really an amalgamation of a lot of genres. So it is a brand new genre as a whole, and you'll see what I mean now when I describe the gameplay. So when we get to the PvE, the whole point of the PvE is to defend against the waves and the bosses with your team using your hero, your builder, your hero, your builder, and your harvester. So all of them have different purposes. The builder, self-explanatory, he builds things. I mean, yeah, he builds your structures, he builds whatever. Harvester, again, self-explanatory name. He harvests resources. The resources it harvests is going to be different depending if you're playing the sci-fi faction or the fantasy faction. Yeah, then it'll collect different resources, but regardless of what race it is, that's not going to impact the resources it collects. More information about faction and races on the website. So the thing about the harvesters, the hero can die. The builder, unkillable, at least at the beginning, until everything's taken down, probably. And the harvester, killable, targetable and killable, just like the hero. So the point of the game, you enter the game, and depending, you have multiple difficulties and you have multiple different maps that you're going to play. But if we just focus in on one, how do we describe the gameplay? Firstly, it's a closed loop gameplay. What does closed loop mean? Some of you know, some of you will not. Games like Overwatch, League, PUBG. You start the game, you start the same base level as everyone else. You play the game, you finish it, you win, you lose, whatever the condition is. The loop ends, you rinse and repeat. Closed loop game. There is not, So anyhow, it's a closed loop game. Secondly, there'll be a bunch of enemies spawning. The enemies spawning there'll be tons of them. There'll be like, you're going to have your classics, like the different elements of enemies that you get. You're going to have some more classics like the immune to slows and divinities, but also you have a lot of, on top of having different types of enemies in terms of the describers and what they're weak and strong against, you're also going to have different behaving enemies as well. You're going to have the mini bosses and the bosses, which we'll talk about in a second, but you have more aggressive and non-aggressive AI, because the more aggressive AI will actually try to go around the lane. They'll try to go around the environment. They'll try to get around your hero, and they'll just target your harvester and your structures. They want to do damage to you. They don't, they're local. So you have to manage that. So how do you play? Well, you put your structures down. The tower you're going to put down will depend on your hero, because I don't want to move towards this formula which is why I don't want to call it a tower defense game, because a lot of these tower defense games, even though they actually stem from the same inspiration many years ago in Warcraft, but all of these tower defense games, they're very simple. You build a tower, you upgrade the tower, or you spawn a bunch of towers, and that's it. And you just sit there idly and you watch it go poop, 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 poop. It's addictive, but it's not that fun. And it's not that much learning, is there? So anyways, you put the towers in. The towers will not only depend on the enemies that you have that are coming out first, the order of the enemies that are coming out, the order of them will also depend on what hero you're playing. For example, if you're playing a tank, if you play or a slow damage character or slow character, you might want towers that have an element of slowing, be it ice, be it some kind of magic from the fantasy realm, magic with ice, or from the sci-fi, different kind of technologies like glues and stuff that will really nail or nails even. But anyway, you want different towers not only for the enemies but for your hero play type. You want to protect your harvesters too when the enemies are coming in. You want to build the correct towers. You want to manage your hero to both be kiting the enemies, getting the enemies down, but also in a sense kiting them, because when you get stuff like mini bosses and bosses coming out, you're going to have to work with your team to take them down. And very importantly, some heroes will be able to just dodge, other heroes will be able to block, other heroes will have some kind of other miscellaneous way of evading. But the most important thing is you do not evade or block near too much of your structures, because there will be collateral damage. We're very much going to play with the environment, and you want to block, and you want to make sure that when you do, you don't end up damaging your structures or your friend's structures. And yeah, that's just the PvE. And the bosses obviously will be very how you beat them will be different, so it will have a lot of different elements to it. Now, as for how you play, the camera is going to be more like a top-down camera, like you'll find in League or Diablo, where it's top-down but slightly tilted. So if this is the plane, you're looking at the camera like this, and the gameplay will be very fast-paced. It's not going to be like you auto-click and it goes there and he starts auto-attacking. No, you do your attacks, you do your combos, and you will have abilities, but they're not going to be like, you wait for your abilities only to come up. Some champions will rely much on their abilities, others will not, but mobility and mechanic will be the most crucial. So that's how you play the PvE. And of course, depending on which difficulty you have tiers with the builders and the harvesters, just like you do with the heroes. And there's no point of reevaluating that. I mean, sorry, it's very similar, not a point of reevaluating it. Now, that's the PvE. There will be a PvP as well, but I won't talk about that too much. And there is the solo mode where you have limitless play, aka you don't have to burn energy. I'll explain what energy is in a second. And obviously the rewards are fewer and in volume and in value, but you can just play endlessly. And also there'll be custom games where you can just play without, just for the sake of playing, you don't have to worry anyhow, where you can just do custom games with your friends. So balancing. Before I talk about earning, let's talk about balancing. Balancing is very important. So I'm sure some people will have a question racing to their mind straight away, which is, okay, how do we keep this balance? I have a rank 2 character and some guy has a rank 4 character. If the rank directly affects your base stats, then obviously if his is more expensive, it takes more time to get, and has all these higher values, he's going to be stronger than me, right? Yeah, of course he will. But you're not going to be in the same game. So when you matchmake, you're only going to be matchmaking with characters within the same rank as you, maybe a little bit above or under, depending on the mode that you're playing, and also the hero level will be accounted for. So you're never going to be in position where you matchmaked with people that are have an unfair starting advantage. Right? Because we want, again, the balance of equality at the beginning. By the end of the game, yes, if you play it well enough, you can get good enough to just, to have that poggers moment where you just slap someone or just one-shot them, that getting a bit too competitive or just having fun with it, really, stomping on someone if you want by the end of it. But that only happens if you play well enough at the game. You don't start with that advantage. No one is going to start with that advantage. The matchmaking will make sure of that happening, and it will balance it. And also you have the map difficulties and everything else. So you will not be put in a position where you are outmatched purely because this guy has deeper pockets than you. Not going to happen. So we still have that ability of going full poggers. So that's important, that it's very, very balanced. And when I say balance, I'm just talking about the matchmaking, the opportunity, but the game itself, when it plays, I want to implement the whole system of perfect imbalance, which is where while some characters can get ridiculously overpowered, there's always another character that can be just as overpowered on the other spectrum and take him down. I was in the chat recently, so people. So next. Okay, so that's all good and well, but you mentioned energies and assets. How do we, we play these games. Now we know that there's different variants, different characters, different values, different modes. What do we get out of these games? How do we earn? Simple. Everything is going to run on their own token once the game is out. And I will also cover the question as to, okay, why they're not on the token now. I'll explain that in a second. But everything runs on their own token. And all of the characters, all of the NFTs, all of the actions run on those. When you sell the characters, you sell them on their own token. When you sell them in the auction house to other players, there will be a fee. The fee has not been set, but it's not going to be something big. It'll just be a commission to cover just a small commission, both profits, server cost, everything, all of that good stuff. Anyhow. So I can get the characters. The characters on our own token. So I play games, I unlock characters, and I sell characters. That's the only way to earn? No. So there is many ways. There's many avenues to earn. Okay, so yes, you can unlock assets and both character instances in crafting to playing the normal official modes. You can also play competitively and you can do custom stakes and custom games. And most importantly, it also costs you energy to play. Now, depending on the mode that you're playing, the amount of energy will change. What your total progression level is, that's the combination of all the heroes you've spent time playing on and progressing on, will dictate how much free energy you get and how much energy you get refreshed every day. Energy, of course, only bought with a token. And depending on what game mode you play, some game modes might even not burn you energy, but some of the competitive, some other game modes will reward you also energy when you win on top of the other assets. So it just depends on what you're playing, but that's the key assets and what they run on, which and the key loop for the token. So we get, how we can generate assets, how we can more or less chances of token, energy, management, all of that. Do we only make money by selling the assets we've unlocked? Again, no. There is many earning avenues. So if you want to invest time and money, you always be better off than just investing one of the two. But if one had to be chosen, which one will in the long run benefit you more? Investing more time will benefit you than just investing more money. So one of the things you can do is hero renting. You can rent out your hero. So let's just say you're an investor, you see the value of these characters, you see how all these different characters represent different value, not only intrinsically, but also different values of different interactions with the system. And you want to make profit, but you also don't want to play the game because you don't have time. You can rent characters. You can rent your hero out, and then other people will play it. And then the rewards will be split depending on the difference between you guys, because finalized the numbers, but the reward, just like the majority of things in this game, will be dynamic. And actually, speaking of reward, I forgot to mention something very, very crucial. When you win games, outside of the maximum reward being set by what rank character you've taken in and what map difficulty you're playing on, the distribution of the rewards are not just based on chance. When you know what the loot is, the possible loot of rewards, when they are, then at the end, when you win, you get some loot. That loot is actually distributed by two things, which is your performance in game, how well you've performed. So, that will then scale the loot that you're going to get compared to your teammates. And also an honoring system, which basically how honorable you were, how helpful you were. So maybe if your game stats were not that good, but you were also constantly trying to help your team and being positive, and some of you and your team wants to reward you, give you some honor, then I'll also be boosting what reward you're going to get. The distribution. So there is that. And of course, when you rent a hero, if you have a really high ranking hero and with a cool variant, the demand for that hero will be higher. And if the demand is higher, there's also a higher chance of someone who has a higher skill level renting your hero, which of course would boost your reward possibility even more because of the mentioned things, because of the things I just mentioned. So what else? Well, we got the hero renting, we got the casual, we got the competitive play. We also have custom, like I meant, custom official modes with stakes. And then we have the creative universe and the content creation. And then you have obviously content creation, just like you would for any other game where you can stream and whatnot. But the creative universe, I won't talk about too much about that now, because honestly, that topic alone will take half an hour within itself. But you have creation mode, with briefly explained, custom maps with an array of tools and options for the players to use to set up the game loop and win conditions. So they can choose what the win conditions are and how the game plays, and they'll have like a really cool set of creative tools reminiscent to the older modding, to more like in the early 2000s, with a lot of modding tools like Age of Empire, Warcraft 3, Diablo, Gary's mod, etc. In the creation mode, you can make custom maps, and then you can also make custom assets. You can then rent those out, you can host those out, or you can sell those game modes out. They're completely owned by the players. I'll be giving the license to these modes to the players. So if this mode picks up really well, and then after that they're like, oh, this mode is so cool, what if we just turn it into our own game? I'm not going to stop them. Go do that. I have, inspired innovation, and these people are working on something they wouldn't have worked on before. So that's freaking great. Go do it. And the custom games can be detached or attached to the main hero system. So yeah, there is a lot of vastness to the economical side and the game layer, but it's not complicated. When we take it one step at a time, it makes sense how the entire picture comes together. The entire picture makes sense, and the building blocks are easy to assemble. So it is made up of many components, but it's not convoluted. Okay, so general overview, yes, the bigger picture, progress in the timeline. Okay, so we did the seed round in January, which was a really big seed round, and in the conventional scheme of things, there was a lot of organization. We did gave a lot of NFTs and token allocations to the people. Sorry, to the initial investors and the FMC, amazing group. And next up for the timeline, we have the website cut. Before that, we already set up a bunch of the character pipeline stuff of how, because a lot of the NFTs you're seeing in the footage in the game is literally directly extracted from the game engine. It's not like made up in separate software or cinematic or anything like that. Then we have the website updates coming in, the new web pages. We have an NFT tracking tool, which bridges me perfectly into something I forgot to mention, which is you'll notice that all of these NFTs are sold on at the moment they're sold on Matic, and they'll probably continue selling for Matic and public chain if some other tokens, but we'll see. Still to be decided, final decision on which tokens, but for now Matic. They are bridged. So when you buy one of these NFTs, when the game is out, you get a character automatically associated with that wallet. All you have to do is log in with the game with the same wallet that owns the NFT, or if not, you have to then obviously prove that the overall wallet is yours and you want to use this character or whatever. There'll be ways to set this up, but essentially you log in with your wallet ID and your characters will be there, and it will automatically all be tracked. So when you sell your NFT, someone else buys it, then that will be associated with them instead, and so on and so forth. So we also got some website tools coming up, the account/NFT info own page coming up, a centralized place for your Fleetwood stuff. Once the public once the public NFT launch, there's going to be a characters page on the website too that basically shows you a lot of info for these characters and whatnot. The total variance, who owns what, what's left, and just, basically everything you can think about around the character, and just real-time data. We have more pipelines to be built, a lot of them. Then we got, the NFT phase. And we're doing this where the NFTs that we're releasing, they're not going to be that many NFTs. There's going to be a couple thousand NFTs being released. Maybe I'm not going to say the exact number because I want to keep those low, but it's not, sure, double digits, but not high at all. And during this phase is where we're actually going to get a lot of revenue now for the project, but it's very important that we grow this through a community-wise and then go get full scale more on different development sections as we have more money to actually hire more people full-time. So I'm not wearing 50 hats at the same time. And then before the game launches, we will have a token that will launch. The date is not still set because there's a lot of variables to that and some business things happening in between the token launch and the alpha launch for the game, which will happen in mid to end 2023. That's our goal. So I think that's the full thing. I'm sure I missed some stuff, but I've been talking for long enough.
Huge project, as I can see. I mean, you explaining it definitely changed my initial perspective, because I thought it was like, this is going to be like a World of Warcraft kind of game, but there's now
closed loop, not open world.
Sorry, no. But now that I'm seeing it has the elements of Dark Souls in a way that there's motions involved, like action.
A lot of amalgamation happening.
Exactly, which I would say would be challenging to develop, because we don't usually see that kind of game in the crypto space, because in the blockchain space it's more on turn-based games, the games where there's not much interactions, and making it really interactive, like action-based game, that is definitely something new, and again also challenging. So how the P2E aspect is going to be applied here? It's via I think you mentioned, if I remember correctly, there's a PVE and P2P. I'm sorry, PVP aspect to it.
So like I mentioned, the PV aspect and all the different components of how you play it. The reason I was mentioning that is because that's one of the key official game modes that were released first, and the way that you earn, as mentioned, there is difficult maps and difficult modes. Having the different characters unlock different playable things that you can play, as well as obviously the higher you progress on the level on that character, the more stuff you unlock, the more potential the higher the potential, the higher the maximum potential value of the rewards. And you just keep grinding until you get stronger characters, until you get more of them. You master your ability with the game, because there's always a new limit to go through, right? You have the PvE, you go through all the modes you have to learn, and you have to master your character. Then you have the PvP, which again I don't want to discuss too much on, because there is a lot of things that are changing. But the PvP will have more of an emphasis on your ability and mechanics, as opposed to your team play, which the PvE has. And you just keep progressing. You keep stacking stacking both your stats, both your assets, and your skills, because eventually, if you make it to the competitive side, then you can do private stakes if you want to. But more importantly is you have a lot of these characters that, once they're minted, once this variant for this character is minted, it's gone. Some legacy type skins, for example, like the FMC ones, there's never going to be FMC themed variants again for any character. Or like when a character that's really popular eventually sells out as well. So there's a lot of moving parts. But yeah, so that's for the income. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, with the hero renting, the creation modes, and all these different things. Does that kind of answer it?
Yeah, definitely. And, I also have some questions of myself, but, I also wanted to hear the voice of the community. So I guess it's about time we open some questions from the community members, if that is okay with you guys.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay, so for the people here in the VC, we're now opening the floor for questions from the community. So if you wanted to ask your questions, please raise your hands up. And if you're not able to ask your questions in the VC, you can just type it over the main chat. Just a reminder, though, that we're going to be prioritizing questions within the VC. Okay, let's start off with the first person to ask this question. Grand Detective, you're allowed to speak. Please ask your question.
Oh, thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Okay, going through listening to you guys, this project seems great, and you guys have a lot so far. So I must say, so my question is actually based on your fundings aspect. I want to know, where are you guys, where would you guys be getting the fundings from? And also, how would you also benefit from the project trying to satisfy the investors?
Great question. So as of now, as you see on the website, there is actually there's only one investor, which is the co-founder, which is my brother. There has been interest in other people to invest in the project, but I don't want to accept investors in this like VC investors, that type of thing, like shares investment at this early point, because the plan to market and the financial plan, like growth, to answer the question, is that we want to grow it with the community along. So if we do a good enough job describing this vision, then when we release the public sale of the NFTs, the majority of that money, like nearly all of it, will then just be reinvested. All of it will be reinvested back into the company. But the most important thing is the revenue. The NFT sales are revenue; they're not liquidity, right? So because of that, it allows us to really scale up, get a lot of people hired. I have a lot of people from both the game and the enterprise world that have been helping me out here and there, but I need a lot more capital to actually start getting them full time, because they're professionals in their career. Some of them are really been there for many years and are known by many people, so everything has to be done secure and proper. So the NFT sale will be generating will be the main counterpart for generating revenue. After that, then there is a chance that we might do or might not do a Series A for fundraising for the company side, because at that point our evaluation and the proven growth of the growth ratio of the company is proven and significantly higher. So the evaluation is significantly higher, which then allows us to break down the company like you would a token with tons of shares and do a Series A if needed. Regardless of, after that, we have the whatever we for the token sale, regardless if we do a private or a launchpad and or both for the token. All of that is for majority of that is for going back into the game, going back into the ecosystem and creating liquidity. So the different points that the company would be making money at will serve different purposes. the revenue for development and everything else associated with it. And then the token raised, be it launch or private, is more so capital allocation for the different parts and mainly liquidity. So yeah, and of course, once the token does, when the token does launch, which all probability, if it does launch close before the game, of course there'll be a vesting period and all of the good stuff to making sure that no one dumps the token. But the key thing is once the token is out, once the game is out, the token's volatility and the because of how the game system is designed and the game's activity will directly be correlated, so we don't have to worry about market conditions as much. Okay, so does that answer it?
Hey, great. Thanks, sir, for the
Fantastic.
great answer. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, man. It was a good question.
Okay, Grand Detective, thank you so much for your question. And we're going to move on fast to the other questions because, we wanted to cover as many questions as we can in this AMA.
Fantastic.
So next is, let's go with Javenga. Javenga, you're allowed to speak. Bro, ask your question, man.
Hey, brother.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It is very nice. For the presentation was very nice, but I have a challenge with respect to this project. I couldn't access the website on my mobile device, saying the mobile device application is not available now. It will be available soon. So I think even we shouldn't, if we can't play the game on mobile device now, but we should be able to access the websites and see some features, the documents, other things on the website on our mobile device, pending the time that the game will be available for mobile device. That by the side. But I would just love to know how long that will be developing the community. I mean, your Telegram community.
Oh, the Telegram community? I mean, the Telegram community only started a couple of weeks ago. Before that, all of it was in the FMC Telegram because the project was very, secretive, and it was only the FMC community knew about it as I was developing these core aspects. Sorry, excuse me. And as for the website, I completely agree. It's just that the initial website, the initial website was just done for the purpose of the seed round to describe a lot of things we already talked about and to give insight on the project outside of a lot of the footage. There's a lot of FMC exclusive footage of different parts inside the game. So yeah, but to answer the question further, there is a mobile site. I like the whole site is being redesigned as a whole because whilst it does serve a purpose, it is rich in content. The design is not great. Let's be honest here. It's not great. It's not professional looking. It was obviously designed by a developer, me, and I'm not a designer. So the redesign is done. I just need to find some time to implement the new design, and alongside with that, I'll launch the mobile too.
Okay, that is great because the reason why I asked that is I actually checked the members of the Telegram group is actually very few. You just have to be on the same page that you really developing an organic member. That is the reason why I asked that how long I will be developing I will be gathering the people on the Telegram group. But with respect to the utility, the NFT, and the game. Now, if I'm not a fan of a game player, I'm actually not a fan, but I love to invest in the token just to actually get some money and some other stuff as an investor. How will it benefit me when I'm not even interested in playing the game? How will your project benefit me probably as a holder of the NFT or as a holder of the token?
Fantastic question. So when I was splitting apart the different earning avenues, one of the core things is that, of course, if you are a player, you're always going to get the highest amount of return on it. But there is plenty of ways to earn money as a passive investor, or just a hodler, or just an investor, not a gamer. So one of the main ways is acquiring heroes as part of the public sale. Heroes that will normally be far more expensive after the game is launched because the amount of time that needs to be dedicated to unlock them by a player, and then they will set the price to them. Secondly, by having those two heroes, not only can you sell it then for a higher profit, you can have continuous income profit by renting out that hero. And as I mentioned, if you have a rarer hero with a higher rank, then of course demand for that character will be higher because people will be then allowed to participate in modes and difficulties difficulties that they normally wouldn't have, because either one, they haven't spent enough time to invest to unlock all these higher ranked characters and progress, or B, they don't have time and no money to get these characters, so they can rent your character. So the way that you profit as the owner of it, you share the spoils of what that person has earned. How much you share compared to how much what they share, again, it will be different depending on the relative scale between you two, between your accounts. But you will make more assets and more revenue that way, which then opens the same branch again, I guess, in a sense, because if you get as you have a higher ranking character that you're renting with a higher variant, not only do you have the highest, not only do you have the gauges maxed out on the stats and on the rewards, but you also, again, higher demand and higher chance of getting a skilled player to play this champion because they really want this variant and they just can't unlock it, or they can't find, or it's too expensive to buy, which then increases how much you earn even more. Now, another way that you can dabble in or make profit in is through the creation mode, by following and predicting or thinking, seeing which games or modes have the highest participation rate in playing, and you can license out some of these player-made modes or buy them out and then host them or license them out yourself. So there is different ways to earn passively without playing, but all of them involve you interacting with your character, not you directly interacting with the system in one way or another. Yeah, so I think that's it.
I think that is awesome. That's a great thing. That's what I actually want to hear. If I can be earning passively, and please, I would love to know the percentage. If I have an NFT and I want to sell it for someone that is interested in playing the game, what will be probably the sharing percentage? Will it be my own?
Say that again. Sorry, the sharing percentage that you would get for renting the character between two people, or do you mean the percentage of value increase of the NFT if you buy it at the public and then you sell it later on?
Oh, okay. That means I can only buy on the public, right?
Yeah, so during the public, this is the only time you'll be able to buy these rarer NFTs from Fleetwood. Once the game is launched, you can only buy them on the player auction house from other players on prices they set.
Okay. I think that is awesome. That's great. Then are you looking up to having a marketplace for your NFT to be sold, probably at the end of everything? Are you going to have your own marketplace, or you're going to have a partnership with some people that have a marketplace so that your NFT be more valuable?
At the beginning, during the public phase, all of these NFTs will be sold on third-party platforms, and you probably, and as I did a section here explaining how they'll be tracked. So when you buy one of these NFTs, let's just say on OpenSea, and then the game is out, how you automatically unlock the character equivalent on their own token. But once the game is out, this player auction house / marketplace, however we want to coin it, they will all be within our internal systems. The token will directly be implemented into the game and within any of these external ecosystems that we're gonna build. But no, everything will be built, or even if we partner up with someone, it will be designed so it can integrate directly within our ecosystem.
Okay, great. I think that's a great idea. That's a great plan. Thank you. I wish you thanks for the opportunity.
No, thank you very much for your time, mate, and thank you for the questions. And before we pick up the next question, could I just just jump to the loo for like 2 minutes because I am bursting.
Oh, of course, man. Of course, take your time.
All right.
Okay, just gonna look for questions as well while waiting. If you want to go to the bathroom, Ragnarok, you can go ahead as well.
No, I'm cool. I haven't. That's why I only drink one Red Bull during this, because I know Angel talks a lot. I've listened to the man for the last 6 months. Yeah, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but the man knows, and he has that spark in his eyes, you know.
Definitely, he has this passion for it, and that's something that you don't usually see. Like, he's talking about it not as a job or something, but as someone he is passionate about, and that's what we wanted to see in the project.
Yeah, and that's very contagious, because well, I can share that even though as we are partners in this, we are also in real life we are friends. And also I can share that I am personally so passionate about this project. I'm doing all my work pro bono, so that should tell a lot about how much I really believe in this and the success of Fleetwood. I'm going to be the best in the game. I'm going to be the angel in the game.
That's going to be pretty embarrassing.
I was just telling how I'm going to beat your ass in the game.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, what's ironic, I'll probably spend so much time making it, I won't have enough time to master it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and okay, I guess you ready, Angel? You got in your. You ready? Okay. Next question. Let's go for Prison Break. Prison Break. You're allowed to speak. Prison Break. Prison Break.
Hello.
Okay.
The break went too well.
Yeah.
What is your greatest competitive advantage that you believe will propel your company to the top of the market?
A few, actually. I think all of the key problems that I mentioned are actually things that we're going to be converting into key advantages, which is the lack of a layer/complexity on the game, on the majority of our competitors, and how then that creates a restrictive then that removes the possibility of a complex ecosystem to be built on top of it. Again, going back on relying on chances and quantity. So that's one major thing. The other major thing that we're going to have is the stable NFTs, where it doesn't matter how big or how much these higher ranking characters inflate, or if they reach, ridiculous amounts like 10 ETH or whatever, like a lot of these other pay to earn games for the most exclusive ones. None of that's going to matter because there's still a way for you to get a stable character and start grinding. And another thing that I think is also going to completely kneecap our competition, excuse my French, is the fact that we're going to simplify all of this. The fact that we're going to give the players simplified of how you set up, of how you get the token, of how you start playing, by integrating a lot of these things directly into the launcher and engine. And furthermore, this ability to invest time and actually better yourself in the game, and actually having a complex world to discover, many layers to unpeel in the game, and having this complex world building with the lore and everything else. I think that's going to be one of the many silver bullets that we're going to have against the competition. The main thing that this will be a game, and it's going to be a good game. And just because it's a game, it's going to be a good game. It's not going to settle for, it doesn't mean it's going to settle for any of the blockchain related stuff or the ecosystem, as you see. We definitely won't be settling there. So I think we have a lot on our competitors. I think, honestly, if everything is executed as well as I envision it to be, I don't see many competitors laying around. But yeah, that is how confident I am.
Totally agree with that. I mean, as I mentioned, you don't usually see this kind of games in this phase, like as detailed and as action oriented. As I've mentioned earlier, crypto games tend to be really boring in terms of P2E. You repeat the same thing over and over again. But yeah, having this action side of this makes it a lot more playable in terms of like spending lots of time getting to learn the game. It's not like you have the best equipments and the best characters, but you actually need to have the skill, and that's what makes the skill game engaging.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's a perfect way to summarize it. Yeah. So does that answer the question?
Prison Break. He's taking a break again, but thank you so much for the question, Prison Break.
He broke free.
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
I think thank
you very much for the time.
Yeah, and I think we can have one last question before we wrap things up because time. We have limited time, and so let's go with. Okay, Elmania Miguel, you're allowed to ask your question.
All right, can you hear me, Angel?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. It's nice meeting you guys in person or virtual, both you and Ragnar. It's actually fun. So
right back at you.
I'm a UX designer, and sometimes I know the effort it takes in producing a game or a project. It takes time. So, but then my question is, ever since you start producing your project, start building your project from scratch, from day one down to where you are, what is one thing that has been a challenge for you guys? And what is one thing you see on your roadmap that you feel that it will cause a challenge for you later in the future? And what are the steps you're taking to eradicate these problems?
That is a very good question. And I don't think my answer is going to be very good, or at least not going to be taken very good, because in reality is I have, during that, the section when I was talking about me and my personal experience, the reality, I've pushed myself beyond so many limits and what other in the technical world, and basically what I can achieve, and quite quickly how efficiently I can achieve it. While I'm not saying that Fleetwood is going to be easy to make, there's going to be a lot of complications. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be tough. I really, outside of making sure to keeping everything, no, I don't, from the game perspective, from the building perspective, there isn't anything that I haven't already broken down into its smallest fundamental truths, and built, either started building or just built a theoretical system to solve it. But I guess the biggest problem that we're going to have is the fact that no one yet has built a token directly into the game engine. But again, I already kind of have a solution of how I think that's going to be. But I think that's going to be the most challenging aspect, because that's the only aspect I haven't done 100 times already. So but the tools that you would need to build it in, I have a pretty good idea of how I'm going to do it. But to answer your question in the shortest, the integration of the token directly into the engine will be one of the biggest challenges. But also, again, if I do it correctly, it's also that within itself can be a product that you can sell for millions to as a plugin in Unreal. Not that I would probably actually even give it away for free after the project is done, because I like that Epic does that. But anyway, yeah.
Nice. Ragnarok looks like if he has something else to say. I don't know.
No, I have nothing to add.
His facial expression was like, I still have something.
No, it's just like I've said it before. Of course, I'm not that technical, but I can speak about the gamer side. I've been playing games. I'm 33 years old, and I've been playing games like since 8-bit Nintendo. So yeah, I played a lot, and from my perspective, Fleetwood, compared to other crypto games, it will finally be a fun game. Something that you really like to play, not only because you can earn on it, but also because it's going to be fun, and it's going to be challenging, and you need to get good at the game. I personally love those kind of games, and I personally love even more when I can be better than somebody else. So I'm highly competitive. So yeah. That's all
nice.
I can say about Fleetwood. My perspective.
Thank you.
Nice. But based on the token, are you planning on going cross-chain maybe later in the future, or now? I don't know.
For now, no. For now, I'm thinking more than likely we're going to use the Binance Smart Chain, and the reason is two reasons. One, it offers the highest amount of integration possibility, and also offers the highest amount of of marketing exposure, and all these other more political / business attributes as opposed to technical. But for now, Binance ticks all the boxes. It ticks the most amounts of boxes with the least amount of cons. That's not to say that it won't change, because we really don't know what's going to happen in the crypto market. I don't see anyone taking over Binance anytime soon. But at the end of the day, as it stands right now, is we still don't have, crypto is still so spread out, and you have all these different things growing, all these different functionalities and tokens, but it still hasn't reached an apex point where a standardized blockchain or a standardized regulation on a blockchain has been accepted yet. And it's and that could change a lot of things, but that's a whole different topic, and it's a really interesting topic that Charles from Ada talks about a lot as well. But to answer the question, Binance Smart Chain for now, I don't have any cross-chain plans for going ahead, because I don't see the need to build a cross-chain. But as Fleetwood expands as a company and we release more games, there'll always be a way to move your liquidity from one game to the other. Sorry, your assets from one game to the other.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thanks, CH.
No worries. And thank you for your time, mate.
Okay. Definitely. Thank you so much for your question. And I think, yeah, that would be the last question for the this AMA. And I'm sure that we still have a lot of questions from the community, either in the VC and the main chat. I'm sorry we don't have enough time to cater all of your questions. But in regards to that, you can still ask your questions by joining Fleetwood's Telegram group, and I'm sure that their team will be more than happy to answer all of your questions.
100%. The Fleetwood team, aka Mr. Shields team, primarily from the core team, are just they're really fantastic, and they really go above and beyond to just making sure everyone's happy. They're really awesome guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Ragnarok is definitely going to make everyone happy, and if anyone complains, well, he got his axe.
Exactly.
So no one can complain.
I would like to say to the end, like somebody talked about the Telegram being so small. This is only the second time we have ever gone anywhere out of my private founding members club. Second time. So if you guys wanted to be early on Axie or such things, now is the time to be early on something. Now is the time to be amongst the first, not anymore 100, but first 200, first 500, first 1,000, and it just will keep going. And these things will be, of course, remembered, as in all good projects. You remember your OGs.
Yeah. Very true. Very well said.
Join, come ask questions, hang around. Just be civil and respectful, of course, as in all communities.
Exactly. And if you have Discord, join our Discord community too. Because we have an active Telegram and Discord. I am more so active on Discord, I'm not going to lie, because I find it so hard to deal with all the messages at the same time on Telegram. But there's, as time progresses, as we get closer to the game, there'll be a lot of sneak peeks and content being dropped, like concepts, some of the new characters, and just teases. And also, if you do buy an NFT as well, during the public, and then you get promoted to a guild cohort, a guild member in our Discord, you get even more exclusive content and even more behind the scenes. And I'll be, it's not a subscription, you don't have to pay for anything or anything as such. It's just, I'm slowly building up. There is a lot of development vlogs and other stuff coming out, but that's more exclusive content. So best thing to do is subscribe to both Discord and Telegram.
Okay, so I guess for the last part of the AMA, just to update or just give a quick summary on what Fleetwood is all about, specifically aimed for people who missed out, the entire presentation earlier. So can you just give our community a quick summary or presentation on or description on what Fleetwood is all about and why people should be investing in it?
Sure thing. I'll try my best. I mean, I kind of failed to keep it under an hour, but let's see in a couple of words. So what is Fleetwood? Fleetwood is a pay-to-earn game that is actually a game. It's not a game with abbreviation marks. It's not a fancy application. It is a game that you can escape in, and a game that will allow you to invest time to progress both in your skill, and as your skill progress, your earning capabilities. It is a game that will have stable NFTs, so everyone can start from the same place if they don't have extra capital to invest, and just grind their way through. And it's a game that will be prioritizing the players always from the start until the end, with all of the non-stable, aka all the NFTs, the values only being able to, once the game is out, to be unlocked by players and sold by players to other people. So it's going to be very much like the catalyst to actual games being on NFTs and not fancy apps with earning capabilities. I think that's it. Yeah.
Wow, I was bracing for like 10 minutes, but I think that's
honestly, I'm out.
I think I really want to describe it, especially in the community questions. And guys, it's been amazing having you here at Phoenix Holdings for this AMA and this amazing project. This is definitely something special that we don't usually see. So thank you once again for allowing us to host you in this AMA. And I do wish the best of luck in your project. And personally, I'll be looking forward to this project and see the growth and the development and everything.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you very much for having us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess that's it from us. And yeah, thank you once again, and good day or good night to everyone that's tuned in here tonight. Okay, goodbye,
See you in
everyone.
Telegram.
Thank you again, and goodbye.